what's up, Slunt's Joker here, and welcome to episode 2 of Slunt Tech. I am joined, as always, by my good confidant, Kurt.
Hello there. Welcome to the episode 2.
Yeah,
Should be
there he
another fun
is.
one like last time.
Yeah, there he is, the Slunt himself. Unfortunately, his camera footage is probably not looking as good as you remember last time. The reason is he caught himself in a questionable upskirt shot, and things went awry. Spent a couple of nights, in the nick, and, well, he's back now in time anyway. But we had to take a week off because of that. But, now he's shooting on an iPhone, so things look okay. Things are looking okay on that end on the iPhone, yeah?
Yeah, they look pretty. They look pretty good / grainy. We'll figure that out.
Pretty good / grainy. Hey, noise is part of it, man. That's your artistic vision. You want extra noise in your shots.
Oh yeah, it's a new common thing.
Yeah,
We gotta start putting noise on stuff.
that's all about the artistic vision. You got to have as much noise as humanly possible. But let's go ahead. We'll jump right into things. First up on this week, we're going to be talking about games this past week that have come out, what we've been playing. New games this week, Lords of the Fallen, that came out. It's kind of like a action RPG, sort of in the vein of like a Dark Souls, also sort of kind of like Darksiders I've heard, but it seems more like Dark Souls to me, honestly. It seems to be like it's more difficult, and sort of the combat and things like that look a lot like Dark Souls, although the visuals definitely got a nice upgrade. They are working with the NVIDIA GameWorks team. Unfortunately, I haven't had any time to sit down yet and play Lords of the Fallen because I've been waiting for my review copy forever now. I've sent multiple emails out to them and still haven't gotten one. But Kurt, you've had a chance to play it. What are your thoughts so far on Lords of the Fallen?
Yeah, I played it for about 56 minutes now. I think what Steam says on it. Probably most of that was set tweaking the options, but
That's plenty of time to give an expert opinion, Kurt. Don't short yourself. 56
Oh,
minutes is
okay.
plenty.
Okay, sweet. And yeah, it feels like Dark Souls. It's a bit more forgiving. Sure, the visuals have got a hell of an update, even though I guess it's not really an update from Dark Souls because it's not that game. But it looks pretty. It supports NVIDIA tech. The NVIDIA stuff is questionable, considering SLI performs pretty turd. I get better performance on one card than I do on two. Which makes no sense considering they said it supports SLI.
So you're actually getting like what kind of frames were you getting on 2 cards versus 1 card?
2 cards would be like you would average like 75. It would drop down to 60 sometimes, which is a bit poo. You can notice that you can feel it, and it would use 40% of one and like 70% of the other cards.
That's a bit off. That's like PhysX type off. Is 1 card defaulting to PhysX, or have you tried doing 1 card on PhysX?
Oh, I haven't tried that yet. But I noticed that when I swapped it to 1 card, it was using the maxing out 1, and then it was using like 30% of the other one to do the NVIDIA particle effects and stuff like that. And I was getting like a solid 80 frames.
Yeah,
so
I've heard.
that's
And from what I did see a brief look of the graphics options on that. There's no actual option though for the PhysX, is there?
No, there's not. There's a what was the option called? It was like NVIDIA something.
NVIDIA like features.
I can't remember what it was.
It's just like one overall umbrella of all NVIDIA features.
Physics, particles, and something else that just basically rapes your cards.
So basically, what you're saying is it's a console port that they threw some NVIDIA tech onto at the end.
Yeah, it feels like that, but it does look really hot.
Well, I know the PhysX is meant to be pretty taxing. I saw a video actually where someone was saying how to get your frames increased because some people have been experiencing some bad frame drops. And his fix was to go into the NVIDIA control panel and set it so that the PhysX would operate off of the CPU. Unfortunately, the CPU does not support advanced PhysX, so what he was doing was turning off PhysX. That was the fix. He's like, yeah, this is the fix. You just put the PhysX on the CPU and it's fine. I was like, no, mate, no, you've just turned off PhysX. That's what you've done.
That is a fix. That's definitely a fix.
That's what you've done. You've turned off the PhysX. But moving on more to the Fallen, also a game that we've both been anticipating. I know some people might be taking the piss out of us for it, but Farming Simulator. Oh yeah. Farming Sim 2015. I have to say, from the first time I saw the trailer for this game, I was like, wow, this game looks good. Mostly just because of the graphics. I mean, we play a lot of Euro Truck Simulator, and we dabble in Sims from time to time, although, the Astragon one's really not so much. But this one is pretty damn decent. I've had a chance to play it a little bit. What are your thoughts on the new Farming Simulator action?
I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. The screenshots and the reviews were very good for that thing when they came out,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting. So I guess people really want to farm virtually, which is kind of sad. Um,
Well, I mean, look at Farmville. This is just DirectX 11 Farmville. Actually, I don't think it is. I'm not sure if it is
no,
DirectX
it's
11.
OpenGL.
It is. Oh, that is right. I remember seeing one game this week that was OpenGL. I think it was that one. Yeah. Um, but still, definitely better looking than Farmville. I mean, why wouldn't people want to take their
It's
Farmvilling to the next level?
it's crazy because it looks really good and
Yeah.
it's really not taxing at all for anything. You could run it on such a rubbish system.
Yeah, and I mean, the download for the game is like, what was it, like 1.5 gigabytes? It's like nothing.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's like where are you squeezing all of this in? I don't get it. It's the same as with Euro Truck Simulator. When that game came out, it was like 700 megabytes. I was like, how have you put the whole of Europe in 700 megabytes?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't really have an opinion for it at the moment. All I've really
Yeah.
done is crash a tractor into a tree.
I just basically I launched it up and I had this articulating arm on the side of a tractor that kept opening and closing and it looked really smooth. So I just kept doing that. So that looked really cool. And the treads on the tires look nice. So 10 out of 10 IGN. All right, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10
Woo!
for tire tread. So farming simulator, worth taking a look at maybe on a Steam sale later on. It is a bit of fun. I know it's a very niche market, but then again, so is any kind of simulator. But I saw a lot of people get converted over when Euro Truck Simulator 2 came out, just because it was such a good game and it was more than just driving trucks. A lot of people think, oh, you're just driving trucks. That sounds so boring. It's like, no, there's a lot more to it than that. Also, a game, not a game that's out this week, but definitely had just gone into alpha just yesterday on Halloween. Evolve. We both had a decent amount of time to play that. I've played as the monster. I've played as the ground troops. Basically, if you're not familiar with Evolve, it's a 4v1 multiplayer game. They've had some issues with matchmaking off the bat, but it's an alpha, so it's to be expected, and they have kind of gotten those ironed out. They released a hot fix last night, so the matchmaking is working fairly well right now. But basically, you've got like four classes. You've got like a medic, you got a support, you have a tracker, trapper, and then one other guy. I can't remember what it is. And then you've also
uh,
got the
yeah.
monster. But so far, it seems really, really promising. Game's capped at 60 FPS. SLI is not really working. But it's all alpha. But I think it's promising, and I'm excited to see what it does when it comes out. Whether it's worth $60 or not full value remains to be seen. But so far I've had fun playing it. What about you, Kurt? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, obviously the first time I ever got on it, I couldn't really get to a match because of their matchmaking issues. But
Yeah,
as you said, they fixed that, and I tried it this morning, and I do like what I see.
yeah,
Um, it the games are over quite quick. I found
yeah.
for some
They
of the
can
games I
be.
played. Yeah, I mean, it feels like another game, but I can't remember what it is. What is that? There's another game very much like it. Oh man, that's gonna really bug me now.
Left 4 Dead.
Um, oh no, definitely not Left 4 Dead.
Well, this is the same maker. Remember, Turtle Rock Studios. They made it. The multiplayer mode was kind of like that. Oh, well, the beast playing as the Goliath kind of reminded me of was Beast Mode on Gears of War.
Oh, that's possibly it.
Yeah, that kind of playing as the monster reminded me when you were able to come out on beast mode as the biggest thing they had. I can't remember what the enemy was called on Gears of War, but yeah, that's what the Goliath felt like. Anyway, I haven't had a chance to play as the Kraken yet, but the Goliath was a lot of fun. Um, he has a few abilities. He has like an ability to kind of like target an area and then he jumps to that area and just pounces on everyone. He also picks up like an imaginary rock out of his ass and throws it at you. Uh,
Yeah.
he could also breathe fire, and then finally there's also a charging ability. But each monster has its own set of abilities. That's just the Goliath.
Fire looks awesome.
Yeah, the fire does look good, and that game using quite a bit of video memory, just like Lords of the Fallen. It was maxing out my 3 gigabytes, and I think you were saying almost maxing out your 4 gigs on the 980s,
Yeah,
right?
both of these games are maxing out my video RAM. It's
Yeah,
instant. As soon as you get into it, 4 gigs usage, 4,000 and something, whatever the cards use, which
absolutely,
is kind of crazy. But yeah, I
absolutely
don't understand
disgusting. And
why.
I don't know where it's going to. I mean, don't get me wrong, the game looks good, but I don't see why it would need 4 gigabytes of video memory. I think
Yeah, maybe it's the anti-aliasing. Maybe that's just
it
really
could be.
taxing
That's
for
what
it.
I was thinking. I think I do. We trying to lower the TXAA down, but SMAA is traditionally more taxing than TXAA. So Man, maybe we'll just have to fiddle around with that a little bit and see what happens. Also, well, the fact that also there's really not really any advanced graphics options. It's just low, medium, high, very high. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what high is. I prefer a PC game should have a drop down for everything. I want textures, shadows, everything individually,
Yeah,
so I can sit there and tweak.
HBAO, AA,
Yeah,
tessellation, all that.
yeah. Anything ported over to the PC, I mean, should be like that. And coming from Turtle Rock Studios, who I kind of think of almost as a PC like dev because of Left 4 Dead and because that was involved with Valve and everything like that, I would have expected a better PC port. But it remains to be seen what happens when the game actually does come out because it is still an alpha. But on the subject of video memory, as we were talking about, that game's using almost 4 gig. Lords of the Fallen also using almost 4 gig. It looks like Assassin's Creed Unity, they had their system requirements leaked about a week and a half ago and then confirmed earlier this week, and they are some hefty, hefty requirements. They are recommending a GTX 780, a minimum spec of a GTX 680. So you're looking at the top end card from just 2 years ago. That's the minimum spec, a 680. I mean, what are your thoughts on that card? I mean, do you think these specs are real? Do you think people are going to actually need a 680 just to play at like console frame rate?
I'm torn because I'm almost thinking back to the last Assassin's Creed and remember when that came out, and it was just like, wow, this is really taxing.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they're also just
Now,
really poorly optimized too.
oh yeah, the open world they put in. It's like, yes, we've put some amazing engine behind the open world. Yeah, but you turn around and it just like drops your frames
Yeah.
massively. It's just dire. I think, I think personally, the specs. I think you probably do need a 680 to run at console frames. It was just kind of weird considering the console doesn't even run these cards or even
Yeah.
anywhere near the 680s. They're
No,
just like,
certainly
what are
not.
they now?
No, they're on like some like low end AMD. It's like the equivalent of like an R9 260 or a 270 somewhere in that ballpark. So
Oh god.
it's like a low mid range type PC. I mean, nothing really impressive. Nothing that should be able to run that game at ultra settings at all.
So I mean, the minimum what was it? 2 gig of VRAM on a 680 or a
Yeah,
7970?
yeah, or a
Hmm.
7970, which is AMD's version basically of a 680, and then recommending a 780. Luckily I've got one of those, so and that's 3 gigs of VRAM. So is it going to be using more than that? I mean, and then and then you
Yeah.
also have to. I just question the whole aspect of optimization because the previous titles, like even if you had a really good system, you can have two Titans, but your frame rate was still going to tank because it wasn't going to use all of your system. They've just traditionally have been very poorly optimized games on the PC, and I don't really see that changing this time around. I mean, I'm going to have two 780s going, but if my frame rate goes down, but it's using 99% of each card, I don't care. I'll lower settings based on that. But if I'm running my cards and this game's frame rate is tanking and it's not using all of my system, then there's an issue there. There's something that needs to be addressed either by them or from Nvidia.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it's sort of going wrong. Maybe it's just bad like engine like CPU code or something because which one was the is it three with the snow? Was that
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed 3?
Assassin's Creed 3 was the worst of the bunch for PC
Yeah, that
optimization.
was absolutely terrible. I remember playing that on the laptop and it was getting questionable frames, and that was okay for the day. But I mean, I tried it on this when I first got my 690s, and it was still getting questionable frames on that, and that was a powerful machine for the time.
Yeah, it was 680M, and Assassin's Creed 4, it ran okay. It was capped at 60 FPS, and they kind of sorted out the frame rate, a little later on after the game came out. But at launch, it ran absolutely terrible. But around 3 or 4 months later, I think they kind of got stuff sorted out in the drivers and with game patches, and I was able to play the game with two 780s at a constant 60 FPS if I put the PhysX on low. With the physics on high, it just absolutely would just rape the FPS because of all of the smoke and stuff on the screen. And also, just sometimes, like in the cities, it didn't seem like it was really utilizing all of my graphics card potential.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. There's like a number three as well, isn't it? You would get out of the main of the ship, and then you enter a city, and it's like 50% usage on your card, 50% CPU, but you're only getting like 30 frames. It's like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Use the other 50%, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I want more frames. God, it was awful.
Definitely. All right, so to keep on topic sort of a little bit with Ubisoft going from Assassin's Creed 4 and their absolutely ridiculous system requirements. Something that Ubisoft just can't seem to stay out of the news recently. As far as the system requirements and the whole thing of saying that 30 FPS is for a cinematic experience. And now here we have a Ubisoft representative who did an interview with OXM, Official Xbox Magazine, where he was quoted as saying that 1080p or not 1080p is not an interesting question. He said he's not interested by that question of 1080p, whether it should be in the game or not. He said it's certainly not something I care about in this game. Hutchinson said. He went on to say, "It feels weird to me that people are cool about playing a sort of retro pixel game, and yet the resolution somehow matters. It's like, is it fun? Is it interesting? Is it new? Is it fresh? Are there any interesting questions?" And even after that, goes on to say, with 4K TVs and things, whatever these things are, somebody was telling me that with a 4K TV to even see it, your living room has to be big enough to sit like 12 feet from the screen. I don't know the exact numbers, but it starts to get a little crazy. I'm just in it for the experience. I'll play a SNES game if it's cool. Uh, Now, I understand what he's saying as far as a retro game, and a SNES. If you play a SNES game or just a retro style game, obviously the game was made to look like that. The game was made to look like an old game for a reason. It's not like they set out to make the most visually stunning game and just got roadblocked because of hardware issues and had to make an 8-bit title. That's not the case. They're making that because that was actually their artistic vision. You making Far Cry 4 at less than 1080p is not your artistic vision. That is you not being able to run that game on the current consoles at a consistent frame rate. And it's just complete bullshit, and they just can't keep out of the news with this crap. They just need to learn when to shut up. I mean,
Or be honest.
or yeah, or just be honest about it. Just be honest and come forward and say, "Hey, look, do you got, we want to give you guys games that look really, really good, but we have to lower the res and we have to lower the frame rate, and that's it." But they're not. They're sticking to their story here. It's absolutely terrible. What do you think about all this?
Uh, I think it's a load of bull. I mean, this is like, what is it? It's like the third or fourth time they've been in the news now. This is
Exactly. Like in the past
ridiculous.
2 3 weeks, it's just nonstop.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, they need to just come out and say, yeah, we built a game that is probably going to run fine on PCs, and it just doesn't run on these new consoles.
Yeah.
Because I guess a lot of developers are probably like, wow, these consoles were so overhyped, but now we've got them. They're really not great.
Yeah.
The hardware in them is not great. But hey, we've got loads of VRAM we can use, so, that makes up
Yeah.
for something.
Yeah, they've got loads of VRAM, which is now causing issues for all of us on PC because now all the developers are having to develop for the video memory rather than developing for the horsepower that people like me paid for with 780s. We went out, we bought these GK 110 cards with the CUDA cores and all that stuff, and now it's all about video memory. It's all VRAM, VRAM, VRAM.
It's absolutely crazy. It's changed so much since these consoles have come out now. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, I thought that these new consoles when they came out, I thought it was going to be a great thing for the PC. I thought because they were on the x86 architecture, I thought that it was going to be, that the devs would basically be able to just develop primarily on the PC and then they could just put it on the console and lower the graphics accordingly. But that's not what's happening. They're developing on the consoles and then they're bringing it over to the PC, and we're just basically getting the leftovers, and they're getting half the experience they were promised because at the original E3 when this was announced, what were they all talking about? 1080p 60 FPS, 1080p 60 FPS. Now that people are saying where's the 1080p 60 FPS, they're saying why are you asking us this? Why won't people just shut up about it? It's because you fucking promised it. That's why.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, what they should do is, like you said, develop the PC and then start taking away stuff. Get rid of the HBO, you can't run it. Get rid of
Exactly.
the. Well, they don't even have anti-aliasing, they can't even run that either, so they don't even have any form of it. I think they put like some form of FXAA on some games
Yeah,
they
they probably
can
got some like
possibly handle it.
FXAA, some like approximate anti-aliasing.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, just start removing stuff, get rid of the tessellation, you can't run it. At least I'd rather have a 1080 game running at reasonable frames than something that looks low res and mushy.
Yeah, I mean, 1080p and 60 FPS really shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, they could have gone with better hardware, but they didn't. They chose to go the cheap route, and now they're suffering for it. And I think And I think because of that, I think this is going to be the shortest turnaround between console generations. I think they're going to have a newer console out a lot sooner, because it doesn't seem like this debate is going away. I mean, I thought maybe people would be a little annoyed with it at first and then it would go away, but it does not seem to be going away. The whole, people asking for 60 FPS and 1080p, that people are not shutting up about it, and they're going to have to do something about it quick.
I guess consumers could just go to PC. I mean, it could go that way. I mean, people who might be content, the people that
Exactly.
are content will be content. They'll just go, yeah, it's a great game. I'll play it at 30 frames at 900 or whatever it is, 720. They don't care. Then you got people that want the 60 frames and be like, well, actually, I'm just going to go and buy a PC.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people I've seen in YouTube comments, either on my channel or on other channels and on forums, and saying, I just sold my Xbox One and all my games and my 360 and all my games because I'm going to the PC because I'm sick of this. The PC has better, the better frame rate and the better resolution and all this stuff, and then they're gonna come over here, and that's good for the PC market, and also the games are cheaper. On console they're having to shell out $50 a year for a membership just to use the online when they're already paying for internet. You don't have to do that on PC. A console might be cheaper in the long run, and you can just plug and play, but you got to pay for a membership. You're buying $60 games. I mean, Witcher 3, $60. I just got Witcher 3, pre-ordered it for less than $25 on G2A. So if that doesn't, it's cheaper in the long run on the PC. Like, yes, you can look at these PCs that are all like, $2,500, $3,000, but you don't need that to get your foot in the door. You can get in the door for $400 or $500 actually, and have something that's still better than a console. I have a buddy, Top 10 Gamer, who he did a video recently on a $200 PC that would be better than a console. $200, and that's going to still save you money in the long run, and you can add on to it, and it can get better.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the good thing about it. You can
yeah.
just, if games start running bad, then, just whack a new card in
Yeah, you could just whack a new card in
down the
it,
line.
like the recently announced R9 290X 8 GB card. I guess they were trying to compete with Nvidia. Nvidia just put out their new cards, and maybe AMD is not ready yet. But basically, AMD has just announced they're going to be doing an 8 GB variant of the R9 290X. I don't know what games are even using 8 GB, or if this is really just targeted at the 4K crowd. But with all these games, with the video memory creeping up higher and higher and higher, I mean, you just got two 980s and you're already seeing your video memory maxed. I mean, is eight
Yeah, it's
gigabyte
absolutely
should that
crazy.
be a standard now?
Annoying with AMD, they've always put a lot of RAM on their cards compared to Nvidia.
Yeah,
They've always put a bit more on. I just don't think games need it at the moment. I think the only reason people are looking at it, or even why AMD are doing this, is because of the consoles.
yeah,
People are, oh yeah, we can use all the 8 gig on the consoles. It's like, yeah, but if you port it to PC, you do realize that no one has this ever.
yeah,
Unless someone has like those ridiculously priced 12 gig Titans, whatever they are,
yeah.
which no one has.
Yeah, and
It's
the eight
just,
gigabytes, can the memory bus even handle it? Like, I know that they have a bigger memory bus on the AMD cards, but can it even use 8 gigs? I mean, is there anything that's actually even going to be using that besides 4K? That's the that's really
yeah,
the only
we
that's
just
really
don't
the
know
only thing I
yet.
see using it.
Yeah, 4K or what else is there? No, I think that's pretty much it actually. 4K with loads of AA.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 4K and all the anti-aliasing turned up. Although apparently, well,
But
people are
then with
saying,
this card, you're going to get like one frame with it. So good luck with that.
yeah, well, with 4K you shouldn't really need anti-aliasing either. So, and I was actually when I was testing out DSR this week, I realized on Battlefield if I did turn off all the anti-aliasing, it looked pretty good and it was actually running okay. I was getting about 45, 50 frames, which I guess could be playable for some people, not for me. We are spoiled with our 144 hertz displays, and 55 frames kind of looks like a slideshow to me, if I'm being honest. Not to sound
It
like a
does
snob,
indeed.
but but it's true.
Well,
It's
don't buy the
true.
hardware if you don't want to play it.
Exactly. All right, so for any of you out there planning to buy a 13-inch Alienware notebook soon, you'll be happy to know that you could go out and buy the Alienware Graphics Amplifier. It looks like a external, like uninterruptible power supply, massive fucking brick. Look at it. It's just ridiculous.
Look at how portable it is for your portable laptop.
Yeah, it's for your really portable, lightweight laptop. Just carry around this 50-pound brick with you. All right.
Sweet.
It's like, yeah, because when you got your laptop on the go and everything, and you come home, you could just hook it up to this, and you're good to go. You know what I call that? I call it a fucking desktop. Why not just
Yeah.
get a cheap notebook for on the go and then have a proper desktop at home? Who wants to play on a 13-inch screen? No one wants
Oh
to
no,
play
it's
on a
crazy.
13-inch screen.
It looks like they're like, hey, go and buy this laptop for $3,000, and then go and buy this extra thing on top
It's
with
ridiculous,
a
and
card
it's
which will cost you 500 quid.
yeah, and it's not, and this thing cost a couple hundred dollars to just for it's a box. It's a shoe box.
They've just taken like they've just suddenly realised that laptops aren't gaming machines, and like, well,
Yeah,
what's the middle ground? Hey, let's
yeah, we're
build a
just gonna
desktop with
put
half the
everything
desktop
outside.
stuff.
and
Yeah.
this whole thing is going to be Alienware proprietary because it requires a special cable which runs off of USB and PCI, so it's not like you can just take any old laptop and just slap this thing onto it. It's going to have to be future laptops that have this input already supported on it. So it's only going to be for the future. I mean, I guess it's nice to have this option because there are a lot of people out there that buy gaming laptops and then about 5 days later they regret it because they realize they're getting shitty performance. Now you have the option of going out and buying this, so Alienware can fuck you twice.
I'm just looking at the graphs. Look at them. So you got 2 meter in-game performance, ultra blah 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 blah, and it's just like what they should do is just put desktop written above the main one.
Yes, I mean just go buy yourself a $250, $300 decent notebook for on the go and build a desktop at home. You'll have your own monitor, you'll have an external mouse and keyboard, which would be a lot better because you're gonna have to buy a mouse anyway. You're not gonna play with a touchpad. Like who's gonna play on a
Oh
laptop with a
god,
touchpad? No one. It's
with a
impossible.
touchpad with like a sticky residue on it. Oh god.
Oh no, no, no.
Oh.
What are you using your laptops for?
Stuff.
Stuff in
That
bathrooms.
stuff, like the Ubisoft guy.
It's
Stuff.
like, yeah, why did you need a waterproof laptop anyway? I was always curious about that. But this thing is I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, but I guess maybe there is a market for it out there somewhere. It's certainly not me.
The
Because I
weird
would
thing
just,
is, it's not new either.
yeah. Oh no, yeah, you can have
It's
done
been done
external,
before.
yeah, you could have done external cards for ages. I remember looking into it back when I used to have my old Asus laptop with the 560M. I was looking into external graphics cards, and it was possible. It was difficult, but it was possible. This course sort of simplifies it. So maybe there will be a niche market, and at the end of the day, all they're really having to manufacture is a metal box. So, whatever.
I mean, I wonder what performance loss you get from going down that cable with the card. I mean, I doubt you're getting the full potential of the card out of it.
I don't know. It seems to be doing pretty well. I mean, they Tomb Raider here in-game performance, ultra settings tessellation on with a single 980 in there. They were getting 105.9 frames. That's about what you would expect to get on a single 980, wouldn't you, in your desktop?
Yeah, compared to the
Yeah,
45.5 it was getting with the
yeah,
laptop. Which is kind of weird because they're just basically saying that the laptop's a cack.
yeah. I mean, and that's going from 45.5 frames with their standard 860M, which comes inside the 13-inch notebook. So, that would be kind of playable. I mean, you could lower some settings, turn off tessellation and stress effects, things like that, and you could probably play on that laptop at 60 FPS, and pretty respectable. But if you go home and you want to get more frames than the monitor's refresh rate can even handle, then by all means you can go ahead and hook it up to the graphics amplifier.
Yeah.
By the way, also coming soon, the Alienware proprietary external mouse and keyboard and proprietary 24-inch monitor that you can hook up on the
Oh,
outside.
wow. That's almost known as
Basically, yeah,
peripherals.
at the end of the day, you'll basically have a desktop PC and a really nice $1,000 hard drive holder. so that's
Yeah,
so that's
they'll
what.
even give you a stand for your Alienware to put it, so it's behind something, so you can plug a mouse into it.
Yeah,
It'd be amazing. Don't even have
that's
it open.
yeah, that's the that
Wow.
so that is the roadmap for the Alienware future and what they're looking to be doing. All right, good job, guys. Keep it coming, Alienware. Moving
Yeah.
along onto something that's very important to me and should be important to a lot of people. YouTube launches 60 FPS video. Now they talked about this a few months ago, and there was a couple videos that came out. Unfortunately, at this time, it's only supported on Chrome and I believe Opera as well, but not Firefox, which I primarily use. So I have to go over to Chrome anytime I want to watch a video in 60 FPS. But for all my, in future reviews, I plan on posting in 60 FPS if it's feasible. And it looks really, really nice. And I think it's going to have a very large impact just beyond the gaming's landscape because people that have never really experienced 60 FPS before, I can see these people seeing it now, like maybe, people that aren't even gamers are going to see it and they're going to be like, wow, that's different. And maybe this could even creep into like films and stuff. And do you think it could have an impact beyond just gaming, Kurt, or do you think it'll be just centralized just to gaming pretty much?
I think to begin with, it'll be centralized for gaming, reviews and stuff like that. Like you said before, console gamers looking at the game running at 30, and then they're coming across looking at the reviews for PC and seeing games running at 60 or more. Obviously, you won't see that on this, but they'll be like, "Wow, I've been really missing out.
Yeah, this
What's
is what
going
you're
on?"
missing.
Yeah, but yeah, I can see a lot of videos and stuff being put up with 60.
Oh yeah.
Considering phones and stuff do 60 frames now for 1080 and stuff like that, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, and especially if we're able to do side by side comparisons now. They used to just do graphics comparisons. What about when a new game comes out and they're like, well, here's the PS4 version running at 30 FPS, and here's the PC version at 60 FPS. You do the math. Which one do you think looks better? And I think the answer will be pretty damn obvious, and you're going to see a lot of people saying, hey, what the fuck, guys? We want 60 FPS on console.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite a big hit.
Yeah.
I can see that myself. Three lines, PC in the middle, Xbox one side, PS4 the other, and just look how smooth or buttery smooth the one is in the middle. And
Yeah.
I think it will kick the developers into gear a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is really really going to be impactful for just the game industry as a whole. It's not just going to be, oh, YouTube videos look better now. I think this is going to be because it's going to be putting 60 FPS in front of more people's eyes, and they're going to say this is something I want on a consistent basis, rather than before with certain people that only ever saw 30 FPS and they're just kind of in the dark and they're like, oh, 60 FPS doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, well, boom, here it is. This is what you're missing, and they're just going to be like, OMFG. So that's one of the big things I like about it is being able to just show people what they are missing, so that maybe they'll make the jump to PC, or just so that they'll influence PC, the developers to maybe making games on console running like this, or possibly even come out with a new console sooner to make sure they have hardware that can do 60 FPS.
Yeah, imagine that. What was the turn cycle for the other one, the Xbox 360 before the Xbox One? Was that 9 years, 8 years?
Yeah, it was quite a while. I think it came out in 2006, I want to say.
Oh, yeah, but think of the issues that would imply. I mean, we've got 8 years from now. Think of where PC will be compared to
Oh god.
these consoles. Yeah, exactly. Think of how
Well,
far the leap will be.
well, it'll be as far as the consoles go because we're going to be restricted to whatever they can do pretty much.
Oh, God damn it.
You don't really get to see these leaps and bounds until the consoles make the jump because that's where the assumed majority of the market is, even though PC game sales actually outdo them by quite a bit. When they look at Steam sales and stuff like that, I mean, there's a reason that Steam won Platform of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards, not Xbox, not PlayStation, not Wii, but Steam.
What is
Steam,
that?
Steam, just an app on our desktop. It was the best Platform of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards, voted by people on GreenManGaming.com. So I think the people spoke, and now hopefully they'll listen. All right, but before we go ahead and wrap up this week's episode of Slunt Tech, we're going to be just take a quick look at what games are coming out this week. Not a whole lot, but we do have the new Call of Duty coming out, which I have to be honest, I'm mildly excited for. I'm just mostly excited to see, if there's been any drastic changes, if they're actually going to, sort of put themselves back at the top, really, to speak. I haven't played an amazing Call of Duty title since like Call of Duty 4. After Modern Warfare 2, I pretty much slid off on the Call of Duty series altogether. And I'm hoping that this one is good because it looks like it's kind of like Titanfall combat, but without the stupid AI bots there and without the Titans. And it looks like it could be a lot of fun, and the graphics look nice, so it looks like it could be good on PC. And I'm looking forward to at least checking it out and seeing, if it's pretty good. Are you gonna at least check out the new Call of Duty, Kurt?
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I mean, I haven't played the last decent one I played was World at War. I mean, I spent hours on that game,
Oh yeah,
days, and that was really fun.
that's where we
Uh,
met.
that's right. That's where we met back in the day. And yeah, this one does look kind of pretty, but I never trust a Call of Duty screenshot.
Yeah,
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 never trust those.
yeah. They're always like cutscenes and like polished up and stuff in After Effects.
Yeah, but I mean, when's it out? Monday
It's out.
slash
It's out Monday.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Monday
whatever.
slash Tuesday. I don't know, some kind of like day zero release. Like some sites say November 4th, but you go on all the retailer sites and they say November 3rd. So I don't know I have no idea when I'm getting it. If it's gonna be Monday or Tuesday, but either way, I'll be playing it, and I'll probably be doing a video review for it. Uh,
I just,
Go
I
ahead.
mean, I was gonna say, I just don't want to. I sort of want to. I want it to be Call of Duty, but I don't want it to be like the same one I've played for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. It's Call of Duty's been the same. They just rolled out the same stuff, different skin every single year. I just want something new, but
Well,
not overly
I
different
just
that
want a
it's
more
not fun.
polished gameplay experience, really, and something that feels maybe a little bit different but familiar at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but so we're sort of looking forward to Call of Duty Advanced Warfare this week. Really not that much else coming out on the PC side of things. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this week. Slunt Tech will also be back next week. I hope you guys did enjoy the show. If you did, stick a like on it below. If you have any questions for myself or Kurt, feel free to ask down in the comments below. And as always, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Joker Slunt, or quickly get back to my channel anytime by going to jokerslunt.com. I'll catch you guys next time. Ta-ra!
See you later.